With Trigger's banner coming to an end soon, that means we got new characters like Vivian and Hugo on the horizon. In this video, I'll be showing off gameplay of Vivian, how to build Vivian, and what teams I think you should build with her. I do want to note this is all on the Zenless Zone 0 Creator Experience server. That all out of the way, let's just get right into it. As you can see here, here's her menu animations. I love showing these off. They're very, very nice. And as you can tell, she is definitely a Zenless Zone 0 character. Man, something else to note, Vivian's name is Vivian Banshee, which a lot of people thought she was a vampire, but it was actually shown that she's a banshee. She's part of a new faction as well. As you can see here, Mockingbird. There's a new Bangboo that does go with the Mockingbird faction, which I'll show off as well. And yeah, she's also Ether Anomaly, as you can see. And as you can see here, I do have around almost 200 Anomaly Mastery and then 456 Anomaly Proficiency. Vivian plays into a role more of a support anomaly. And for those that don't understand what that means, she basically strives off other Anomaly agents, like Jane, like Yanagi, you know, those that like want a ton of field time and those that do massive Anomaly damage. She plays a lot like Bernice. So if you've ever played Bernice, you would probably be able to play Vivian as well. Actually, a lot of Vivian's best teams are basically just Bernice's teams. Going into the disk drives, I'd like to say there's really only a few correct ways to build her. You should 100% be using Pathan's Melody as the 4-piece set because it's just basically made for her. And then I am running Freedom Blues, which is another 30 Anomaly Proficiency. I really don't think you should be straying away from the 4-piece Pathan's Melody and 2-piece Freedom Blues. And if you don't want to use Freedom Blues, you can use Chaos Jazz, which is another plus 30 Anomaly Proficiency, but I'd recommend using Freedom Blues as building Anomaly is very important. As for main stats for 4, 5, and 6, for your disc 4, I highly recommend using Anomaly Proficiency, as you should. For your disc 5, there's a ton of options. For your main stat, you can have Ether Damage, you can have Attack, or you can even have Pen Ratio. And so for disc 6, you definitely want Anomaly Mastery with Anomaly Proficiency substats. All of the disc drives should have Anomaly Proficiency. If they don't, keep rolling. But you want as much Anomaly Proficiency as you can get, as that's how she does her damage. Obviously, for the W engine, we're running her signature W engine, which is Flight of Fancy. Increases Anomaly buildup by 40%, which is really nice. And when the equipper deals Ether damage, their Anomaly Proficiency increases by 20, and that can stack up to 6 times, which means you can have 120% more Anomaly Proficiency. So it's a lot of damage. Other W engines I'd recommend running, you could run Yanagi's W engine if you have it for more Anomaly Proficiency and disorder damage. You could also use Electro Lip Gloss, which is the Battle Pass W engine. When there are enemies inflicted with Attribute Anomaly on the field, the equipper's attack increases by 10%. The main thing about this one is that it gives Anomaly Proficiency, which is really nice. And of course, you can also use Grace's W engine, which also increases Anomaly Proficiency basically, and has Pen Ratio, which is really nice. And for the other A-rank option, I recommend the Weeping Gemini. You can craft this at the W Engine store if you didn't know. And the gist of it is that it gives you Anomaly Proficiency, which Vivian loves. All right, and with that all out of the way, we can go into your combat section now. As you can see here, I am with Vivian in the VR training. With her W Engine effect, it does a little glowy effect on her hair and gives it a little particle effect. Plus, her umbrella also glows. Looks really nice. I really love that all the W Engines, the signature W Engines at least, give some kind of cosmetic upgrade to the character. Oh, and as you can see here, when you sprint with Vivian, she does a little twirl, which is really cute. So as you can see in the top left, I have something called feathers. Yes, they're called feathers. There are 2 types of feathers. One feather is called the flight feather, and the other feather is called the guard feather. And all you need to know, basically, is that when you attack with Vivian in any sort of way, basically almost every way, you gain something called flight feathers. And these flight feathers will turn into something called guard feathers. So as you can see here, you're in the air, and I gained something called a guard feather. And so now I have 4 guard feathers. And so what does that mean? Well, basically, when you switch to a different character and either use an EX special or apply attribute anomaly to the target, you will use one of Vivian's feather and apply a bloom. And what is a bloom? You might be asking. In the simplest terms, it's just extra damage. On screen, I'll put the description of what it actually does if you want to read it. It won't be up for too long, but there you go. And when you're playing with Vivian, you basically want to gain these guard feather stacks, switch into your main anomaly DPS, like Jane, like Yanagi, and apply attribute anomaly to the target. I'm just gonna show that off right here. So I'm gonna apply a physical assault, and as you can see, a bloom happens when I use an EX special, and when I apply assault, there's disorder, a bloom, and the assault. Big damage. And as you can see, she strives off having another anomaly DPS. And for those wondering, a bloom is just a percentage damage of the anomaly attribute that was applied. So if you do assault with Jane, it will do a percentage of Jane's assault anomaly with a bloom. It can get kind of complicated, but it's just basically gain your feather stacks, switch into your main anomaly DPS, and then apply attribute anomaly. Rinse and repeat. There's nothing else to it, really, other than that. And now I'm just gonna quickly show off what it looks like against an enemy. This is kind of the rotation I was using. You just EX special, she'll go into the air, you hold your left click switch, and then apply the attribute anomaly with your other target. And then you can see here, you get some more charges, you can switch into Jane, and then rinse and repeat. And so I'm just gonna quickly show off all of her animations as well. I forgot to do that at the beginning. Here's her EX special. I'll do it again for you. Pretty cool. Here's her ultimate. Very, very beautiful. Something I do want to mention about her ultimate, I'm going to use it again so you can just see. She does go into a flying state, and so when she's in a flying state, you do want to use your basic attack here, just to make sure that you have it off. And if you guys wanted to see the Bangboo, here's Robin. And so I'm just gonna go over what this is. When you have one faction member from the Mockingbird faction, aka Vivian in this case, Robin will apply one of these effects. So if you have an Anomaly character from the Mockingbird faction, aka Vivian again, Robin will fire crowns, which will increase the Anomaly buildup by 90%. As you can see here, his skill is launching crowns and dealing massive ether damage and accumulating massive ether anomaly. And then of course his chain attack is just ether damage and anomaly buildup. Really cool Bangboo. And then there's also another one called Overtime Boo, which I think a lot of you have seen on Twitter. And one of his abilities is Keyboard Smasher. The other one is called Corporate Drone Max. He's basically just another Anomaly Bangboo that you could put onto your team. He's actually pretty good if you don't have other options. All right, and so I'm just gonna go in with this composition here. I love running Astra with Vivian. I firmly believe that Astra makes Vivian a very, 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 very good character, as Astra kind of makes a lot of characters very good now. Yeah, let's just get into it real quick. So something I want to note about this Astra, Miyabi, and Vivian team is that Vivian's Bloom will do less damage because, well, Miyabi doesn't have a lot of anomaly proficiency, so her shatter damage won't be as high. Shatter is the attribute anomaly that she applies, but it's okay because one, Disorder is really good, and two, Miyabi just does a lot of damage. I'm just gonna go in here, I'm just gonna show you guys what's up. I'm gonna switch it to Miyabi after I use Vivian's EX special here. Cool. Now I'm going to double EX special with Miyabi and then use her enhanced basic attack. And it should get destroyed. There it is. Frostburn also does a lot of damage, as you can see. I'm just gaining some EX special charge with Miyabi here. It's also gaining other ones. And I want to switch back into Vivian here so I can gain 5 stacks of my feather charge real fast. Switch back to Miyabi actually and do a double EX special here. And then go straight into my enhanced basic attack and it should die almost instantly. If not dead, I can just use my ultimate. There you go. As you can see, I did that pretty fast. I did do a little bit of yapping at the start, so the time is going to be a little skewed. 1 minute and 29 seconds. If I was to do that just really fast without talking, I'm going to do that real fast. And as you can see here, the team did it in 50 seconds. Pretty fast, if you ask me. All right, and so moving on to the team section, Vivian's teams are pretty straightforward. She basically replaces Bernice in a lot of compositions, as you can see. There's a team here with Miyabi, Astra, and Vivian, with, of course, the Bangboo. I'm using the Robin Bangboo, which is the newest Bangboo for the Mockingbirds. You can use whatever Bangboo you want, but this is the one I'm just using for each team, as you can see. Basically, the teams on the left are Astra, Vivian, and then a main attribute anomaly dealer. So we have Miyabi, Yanagi, and Jane. The best team I've had success with so far has been Jane. The Jane team is very good. As I said before with Miyabi, she doesn't apply really big damage to the bloom, but she does do big damage. Something I want to mention with these teams, if you don't have Astra with some of these teams, it's okay. In the case of running a Miyabi team and you don't have Astra, you can use Nicole. In the case of running Yanagi and you don't have Astra, you can technically use Rina. Rina is also a good option here as a buffer. And for the Jane Vivian team, you don't have Astra, you can use Caesar. Caesar is also a very good option here. And as you can see here on the right, this is the free-to-play team, which consists of Piper, Vivian, and Lucy. Pretty standard. Bernice would actually be in place here for Vivian sometimes, but this composition also works very well if you don't have Bernice. The thing about all these compositions is that if the enemy is weak to fire, you might have better results using Bernice. But overall, using Vivian has shown better results as I've seen so far. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. These are the 4 teams that I suggest running. You can also just run Vivian by yourself for some reason. I don't know why I put this here, but it was pretty nice. I love Vivian. But yeah, these are the 4 teams I recommend. If you stray a little bit off of this, that's okay. You can do whatever you want. But these are just the teams I've had very good success with. All right, and the last thing I want to go over is her Mindscapes. The Mindscapes are very cool. Very interesting and very hot. Something I want to note, I will be skipping over Mindscape 3 and 5 as those are just skill upgrades. I'll be talking about 1, 2, 4, and 6. So this is her M1, walking into the orchard in spring. And a total of 4 guard feathers are consumed, gain 1 flight feather. All attribute anomaly damage and disorder damage received by targets under Vivian's prophecy increases by 60%. The main thing about this one is the attribute anomaly damage and disorder damage getting an increase, which is really nice. That means her bloom does more damage. That just means all of her anomaly damage does more damage. Really cool, really nice. Plus you get extra feathers. Looking at Vivian's M2, Stormy Night, Vivian's ether anomaly buildup rate increases by 25%, and the benefits of a bloom from anomaly proficiency are raised by 130% of the original value, and 50% of the target's res is ignored, which means basically Vivian's ether anomaly buildup rate increases by 25%, 50%, and the benefits of a bloom from Anomaly proficiency are raised to 130% of the original value, and 50% of the target's res is ignored. The biggest thing about this is that it raises your Anomaly build-up rate, which is super good, which means you can apply more attribute anomalies in the first place, and the fact that a bloom benefits more from your Anomaly proficiency, which means that a bloom itself will do more damage as well. I haven't done any calculations. I don't know anyone that has done calculations on this yet, but you might be seeing up to let's see, like a 200% increase from her base damage. Don't quote me on that, I'm actually not sure. Now, looking at Vivian's M4, the wind between the reeds, it looks pretty good. Basic attack Fluttering Frock and basic attack Feather Bloom will always crit on hit, and they will also increase Vivian's attack by 12%. Repeated triggers reset the duration, and entering the battlefield, Vivian will gain 5 guard feathers. This is really nice. This kind of means that when you start a battle, you don't need to switch into Vivian immediately. You can use your main attribute anomaly PS, i.e. Jane, Miyabi, Yanagi, use up all her feathers, switch into Vivian, and gain back all your charges pretty fast. Not only that, you can actually start building her as a pseudo DPS, as that she'll always have 100% crit rate on one of the hits. Alright, and so onto her M6. This is where it gets crazy. It's literally called Vivian. That's actually hilarious. What the heck? There's a lot that's going on in this Mindscape. Basically, using any of Vivian's abilities will now gain her an extra flight feather. And so, with the addition of 40% more ether damage and gaining flight feathers more often, she will now consume all of her guard feathers and do a special attack. And the special attack basically applies an extra instance of a bloom. And the bloom does more damage based on how many guard feathers you consume. And so Vivian just becomes a main anomaly DPS at that point. You're not playing her as a support anomaly anymore, you're playing her as the main anomaly DPS, which means you could probably run something like Bernice Vivian. That's crazy. And yeah, that's basically her Mindscapes. In my opinion, her W engine is way more important than any of her Mindscapes, as it increases your anomaly buildup by a significant amount. And so my own prio is I would do Vivian, her W engine, and then her Mindscapes. I do think her M1 is pretty good for being an M1, and her M2, ignoring 50% of the target's defense basically, is also super good. Things would die really fast. So if I was to really go for a character that I really wanted and I wanted to get stuff, I would go. And so if Vivian was a character that I really wanted and wanted to be one of the best characters I've ever had, I'd go for her M2, I'd go for her W engine. Nothing more than that though. If you really like Vivian, go for her M6. You can put her into the main anomaly role at that point, and she can just steamroll through all the content. And yeah, that's about it. In my opinion, Vivian is really strong, and she kind of takes place of Bernice. And Bernice was already very niche in being a supportive anomaly DPS and not the main anomaly DPS. So having two different characters that are able to be a supportive anomaly DPS is very nice. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think of Vivian, and I'll catch you guys next time.